Today we have with us Mr. Naga Tummala. Under the umbrella of the People Combined Group, he co-founded reputed education institutions like Oak Ridge International Schools and Westbury Schools, and also co-founded a disruptive AI in education company, Coschool.
He is also the founding member of a reformative education body, Rise, and the national president of CEO Clubs India.
He is also the author of the book The Man Who Saw Tomorrow, on the life of the legendary Shubhi Das. And I can go on and on about his intro, but I'll take a pause. Thank you, NP, for joining us today and looking forward to have an insightful conversation.
Thank you, Nishanth.
Yeah, as I mentioned, we're going to kind of reflect on some of the interesting observations pointed out by the guests. So I'll start with something that Mr. Christopher Short pointed out in his conversation with us. Chris mentioned that we have learned a greater understanding about how students learn in the last 20 to 30 years. I would want to understand how have you witnessed that change in the last few decades, and how do you think that understanding of students would help and would inform newer tools like AI tutors to be better used?
Chris might be right in his observation. What I feel in the recent times or decades of education getting scaled from hardly 10-15% of population going to schools to almost 90 to 100% of students going to schools, there was focus more on the reach. There were not so much of attention to how students learn, what kind of nuances and sensitivities need to be considered. The focus was not there. Now that we almost have reached near 100% of enrollment, then the focus is on actually what's happening, whether the learning is qualitatively as expected or there are gaps in it. So in that, there is more deeper understanding, and people who have resources and opportunity are looking into getting it better.
Once we kind of have a greater understanding, how do you think that can be leveraged with these tools?
For a very long time in this form of schooling, um, students who are catching up to the teacher pay and the classroom dynamics are benefited from the system, and they are typically considered merit students. And those who couldn't, they are relegated to average and below average. But as Chris mentioned, people when understood it is just not the students' issue, it is the system issue. Then people were trying how best we can address that. There were many innovations through different technologies and also teacher training. It is tried in many different ways, but the issues still remain primarily because student learning can be, it is always personalized, but to provide that kind of learning opportunity for students, a tutor is expected to be there with the student 24 by 7, and that too for each subject, which is practically not possible. As a result, the all the attempts made to get it better yielded only limited result. Now, with the change in technology, particularly the generative AI, has brought an opportunity to have conversation with technology. This conversation is so important for learning. Using this generative AI technology, now we are able to create AI tutor that is an extension to the teacher in the classroom and be with the student 24 by 7 to help so that student can learn without knowledge gaps. That has huge potential to eliminate that average and below average category of students. Thus, education is expected to have complete transformation with by using the newest technology.
That's very insightful. One more thing which one of our guests, Ms. Jyoti Reddy, pointed out is that schools are increasingly trying to adopt technology to make learning more experiential. How do you think that the entire teaching learning process can be redefined to a more experiential way using AI tools, especially for like historically difficult subjects like the STEM subjects for explanation?
See, experiential learning has two, three dimensions that we need to understand. One is experiential learning is trial and error. People having no knowledge of theory just keep trying and thus they learn.
Yeah.
That is also experiential learning.
Yeah.
Whereas people have theoretical understanding, then they are putting into experimentation and making very deeper observations. That's a different form of experiential learning. This actually shortens the length of the learning process and end up doing lesser mistakes.
Yeah.
Thereby, they progress fast. For that, what happens is typically the students spend time in classroom. Most of the teachers' time is going for student academic learning.
Yeah. Yeah. True.
Now, with the be it school AI or of similar technologies, students have the opportunity to learn beforehand, come to the class with that entire theoretical learning.
Yeah.
Then with peers in classroom, in school environment, they can do a lot more experiments,
Right.
which enhances their learning and deepens their entire understanding.
Yes. I mean, that's wonderful explanation. And also one very interesting incident one of our guests quoted, Ms. Dipika Rao. She was in a conference which was attended by a lot of teachers, like hundreds of teachers. But only she and another teacher knew how to use ChatGPT, which is like almost our daily routine right now. So how do you think teachers can be more engaged with these tools as part of their professional development? And how can you think schools can allocate time and budget uh, for such initiatives to train them in these technologies?
See, country to country, this observation is very different. Teachers in India, particularly under high pressure, probably teachers everywhere, but more particularly in India, because here, because of the family dynamics, teachers at home are expected to perform many domestic
Yeah.
responsibilities in addition to their professional responsibilities. They don't get enough support as probably the teachers outside India do get at their home. So, as a result, for the teachers, completing the task on hand itself is so much a time demanding activity. And also, typically, our schools work for longer hours when compared to the schools in the West.
Such countries, yeah.
So, that also puts teachers so much of student facing time,
Right.
as well as other mundane or core routines. As a result, teachers don't get enough time actually to probe, experience, and try out new things.
Yeah.
And also, our syllabus is another aspect which is quite exhaustive as well as quite demanding. So, for the teacher to complete teaching entire syllabus itself is a big task. True. Considering all these things, unless there is a push from the leadership in the school and consciously providing opportunities for teachers,
Yes.
it is not possible. Even when Dipika said in kind of that kind of experiential or seasoned teachers, very upscale market teachers, they themselves have no time or they are not aware. You can imagine the teachers in type 2, type 3 kind of schools and background cities. It is the leadership has to take that responsibility to provide opportunity and exposure to their teachers.
Yeah. Got it. So, do you think AI can be a good assistant to teachers so that they make out time for other things like, let's say, training or professional development kind of a things?
Very much.
Yeah.
See, any tutor for a student, who is a tutor? The, if it is at a human comparison, who is an assistant to the teacher?
Teacher.
So, the same tutor for student is also an assistant for the teacher. And many tasks like assigning the homework or checking the homework, giving the feedback, or analyzing the data and arriving at insights and actionables, all this can be done by the assistant so that teacher focuses more on what kind of actions and what kind of interesting things that she can initiate for the student and also engage with the parent. So this is what I'm thinking for your child. So what can you do this at home? So can you take him to this kind of field visit? Or the kind of, see, teacher mind has to be freed up to think all these things and engage in meaningful conversation and leverage parents. Uh, Thus, the parents are her a set of volunteers at home.
Yes.
Then it becomes completely a different experience.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Slightly shifting the topic from, let's say, teachers to students. So Praveen Raju mentioned something very, very interesting. I mean, that's one of the interesting quotes out of the entire season for me. Like he mentioned that you have to develop certain holistic skills in students to take on the world, like resilience, critical thinking, problem solving. How do you think? Uh, I mean, tools, AI tools, or any other technology tools, or even a typical school or classroom can nurture these skills apart from their usual knowledge and content so that they're ready for the future of work.
See, what Praveen said is absolutely right. And more and more, when the AI technology is getting stable and getting better, uh, it is taking away many tasks and jobs that hitherto humans are put to. So now human beings are expected to be more human and do human tasks. Then what happens is, what are human level of competencies that a machine to perform may be difficult. So, as he said, the empathy, resilience, creativity, and whole lot of other forms of human skills are still very important.
Yeah.
So, however, lot less can happen through academic learning. More how they engage with society, what is happening at their family front, at home, with siblings, with cousins, with friends. That is what makes it more practical, be it at empathy, creativity, or resilience. And in school, when the time is given for activities, for experiential learning, then those skills can be picked up.
Absolutely.
These skills cannot be taught at academic level. They need to be, they shall be living experiences.
Yes, absolutely.
For everything, there can be some theory, but that can add only little bit to overall student holistic development.
That brings me to a question. I mean, this is more from a parent in me who's asking you this question. And I am sure a lot of parents who are watching this also would have this question in their mind. Is so these are some of the skills, like apart, as you said, most of the time the school goes for academic learning. I think there might be one or two projects which they'll be doing. But how can parents be an active part in this entire journey, or use any tools to kind of build these skills in an indirect way? I mean, I'm sure they'll not have, like, they cannot do a moral science lesson to get these skills in. But how do you think parents can become a part of all this?
See, another limitation all the while the existing school education system has, while the student is at another student, one more student for the teacher, is actually life for that parent.
Yes.
They are the people who are the most interested people with regard to the child well-being and development. However, schools didn't have a system to engage the parent in that process.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, again, with the new age technology, particularly with the Gen AI, what can be done is the parent can be included into the entire process, where teacher can consider the both the parents, in fact, as their volunteer. Thus, if there are 25 students, teacher has 50 volunteers on ground.
Yeah.
Engage with them in a way what best need to be done in each of these students. And with the AI assistant, teacher can directly engage, nudge the parent. That can be so personal. And parent also feels so included. Now parent is not that kept at distance. Parent will have many observations they are day in and day out having on the child. They can also record those observations. These are all going to be included in the portfolio. Thus, now it is going to be a 360-degree portfolio, um, where every stakeholder, be it the teacher, be it the parent, be it even at some time the peers also can contribute to that portfolio. Uh, that's a very good situation to be in.
I mean, just adding up to what you've said in terms of portfolio, uh, in the last few years, I've kind of visited a lot of these US universities and other country universities, right? There's a lot of emphasis on profile development before they get the admission itself, right? Whereas in India, it's more on the academic, like JEE, NEET, all these exams. And from someone who's like you, have run a very successful IB school in the country, uh, what do you think? How do you think this profile building, profile development can be incorporated in the school system?
Now, schools, all even CBSE schools are also coming up with portfolio wherein it is a recorded evidence of one's work. And today also everything is considered data.
Yeah, correct.
So data is not just numbers, data is everything. All that when it is fed to the new age technologies, it also analyzes in such a way that what kind of personality this child is, how he was, and how one is shaping up. Uh, all that understanding is over all the formative years. That is so rich.
Yeah.
And if we can give a gift to that child, that 12 to 15 years of formative years portfolio is digitalized and given to the child. Uh, it is such a so valuable. And that is given access to the colleges to consider any admission, how this child is going to perform in a specific course and what is the right course for this child. All that can be decided with a much more deeper understanding about each one of them. This is more helpful in this age and time because the bulk jobs are going away.
Exactly. Yeah.
So you cannot become yet another software engineer by qualification.
True. Very true.
So, then how do even career choice at a personalization level, who decides?
Right.
It is not because your colleague's son or daughter did this and they are successful, hence your son or daughter going to do the same and going to be successful. And neither parent nor teacher can make that kind of decision or advise the student, this is going to be right career for you.
Correct.
With this kind of portfolio based approach, it is going to be a lot more scientifically evaluated.
Yeah.
I think with the AI technology, all the data can be analyzed
Yes.
more for more meaningful outcomes.
As you did touch upon Arise, wanted to know more about Arise as a body. Like, how can schools become members in it, and what do they gain out of it? Like, what is the kind of first-hand knowledge and knowledge sharing they can do through this body?
See, Rise is at a national level, a body, a progressive school promoters have come together, created this organization under the aegis of Wiki way back in 1415 and took formal shape in 2016. I am one of the founding members of it. After involving in so many advocacy related issues, including NUP and other uh, the policy different states are coming up with and the at national level. Now, Arise has become independent organization. It has now broader agenda, including it is just launched um, principals forum,
Right.
where the educators across the country come together, learn from each other, and ground up innovation um, that could happen within India in the learning space. In with particularly, see, what's happening is things are changing so fast. Anything that happens outside India, you may not find it relevant for Indian context. True. So the educators in India have to come together and find right models and the right way of learning for the Indian requirements. Hence, the Principals Forum has taken shape. And schools who would like to contribute for the policy framework, be it at child safety level, be it at um, eliminating the opaqueness that so much prevails in school education space. I think for students, even the Arise motto is child first, the student first. Lot of work is happening in the advocacy and innovation space. So schools come together today. About 1,500 schools are part of RI community, and it is growing day by day.
Great. I mean, we expected to go even further, bigger to greater heights. So you did mention about NEP 2020, right? From a policy level, national education policy. It does emphasize a lot on integrating AI into the school curriculum to improve the quality of education. And how you envision that, and also how are you trying to get that in through Coschool? Yeah.
It is about holistic education, experiential learning, and just not limiting to academic learning in classroom. And it is not just examination centric learning. It is the holistic learning. There are many dimensions to it.
Yeah.
In that, when uh, student anything that helps students to learn, technology not to be ignored, particularly a basic technology. The people who have worked on NEP were visualizing the kind of changes that are happening, and we can't miss out on incorporating the new technologies that are coming, and that can have bigger impact on education. That is how NEP is a great enabler. Now it is for us, for schools to adopt those things in spirit and change their ways of conducting student learning process, helping schools to think in right direction.
And the point that emphasizes that AI to be integrated into the school curriculum, like how can it be used to improve the quality of education? Your thoughts on that, and any work you've done on that part?
AI is everywhere. AI is always invisible.
Yeah, yeah.
So some form of AI is only we feel, but without knowing, we are AI is there in everything that your social media feed or your many utilities. Everywhere AI is there. However, AI in learning, in personalization, um, now with generative AI, at a personalization level, AI is a great help. More importantly, at a conversational level,
Right. Absolutely.
that is a game changer.
Yes.
The AI tutor is a conversational AI with guardrail, with content as well as the curriculum requirements. When it is provided to students, that helps students to learn at their own pace without having any apprehensions. Typically in classroom, students hesitate to ask a doubt.
Exactly. Yeah.
So here they need not to have any hesitation to clarify their doubts. There is no small or big doubt. There is no trivial. So like that, AI for learning is so important.
Yeah. Yeah.
Probably after some time, AI does much better job than human teachers.
Yeah. Yeah.
Second aspect about AI is learning about AI.
Yeah.
Small percentage of people would be developing the AI.
Yeah.
So they need to know at the AI creators. but all of us shall be the users of AI.
Yeah.
So how it works, what creative ways, how many ways you can benefit from AI, every student, for that matter, every individual is expected to have knowledge.
Great, great, great. One thing you have seen you quote a lot of times is to keep the student at the center and try to bridge the learning gaps, which is trying to do. From whatever observations I've had with a classroom teaching kind of an environment, I feel there are two major causes that will. One is the diverse teacher quality, and the other is the diverse student understanding. Like how does he grasp, and what is the level of understanding? Two put together, there are certain knowledge gaps that form. Uh, how do you think you did touch upon personalization through AI, right? So how do you think these knowledge gaps can be bridged through AI?
See, where from the knowledge gaps come?
Yeah.
When the time bound progression
Yeah.
to happen, students need to learn specific content,
Yeah.
uh, have complete understanding uh, within the given time.
True. True.
So it may not be possible. Different people learn at different pace. So when it is a time bound progression,
Yeah.
some students are forced to progress with certain gaps.
Yeah.
Initially, those gaps looks very small, but with time, these gaps will increase. And with that limitation, when higher level of knowledge is expected to learn, for students it becomes too much.
Yeah.
That remains a deep gap that cannot be filled. That's how students shift their subjects. I don't like this subject.
Yeah. Correct.
So that's a way these gaps keep building.
Yeah.
Reasons for gaps can be many. The teacher is not very effective for that student.
Yeah.
Maybe good teacher,
Yeah.
but for that student, it's not working out well.
Yeah.
Our student might be absent for some time, or at a domestic front, the environment was something different, which was not conducive for student that time to learn.
Correct.
So, for all such reasons,
Yeah.
students are at disadvantage.
True.
Now with generative AI, when the tutor is available,
Yeah.
whenever student has time, be it midnight, early morning, late, midday, anytime students can learn
Correct.
and don't need to miss out any part of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
As a result, the student learning can get better
Yeah.
without knowledge gaps. Once student has no gaps, automatically they continue to be with so much of interest.
True. True. Very true. Very interesting thought, and I'm sure also you've quoted a couple of times because we had a conversation on how can teachers be parted training, right? I did hear you say that AI may not replace teachers, but uh, teachers who don't equip themselves with AI might be replaced, right? So
Yeah.
that your thoughts on that?
It is, see, this is in not in teaching profession, in all the professions. Um, it's not AI that replaces you, it is the people who use AI are going to replace you.
Correct.
That is, it applies to every other walk of profession. It applies to teachers as well. However, teaching as a profession is going to be very long-lasting profession because human beings, though they have natural learning ability, um, they need inspiration to learn.
Correct.
They need direction to learn. That inspiration comes from humans, not from the technology.
Yeah.
Of course, the role of the teacher is going to evolve into it. It is going to transform so much, be more holistic, be an inspirer of learning than provider of knowledge, and also the mentor guide. where to look, and how to approach to it.
Yeah.
Thus, the teacher role evolves, but teacher remains.
Thank you for all those insightful answers to the questions. Now, I'm kind of slightly would want to change the flow of our conversation. I would want to ask some questions which we received from students, parents, and teachers. So the first question is, with new technological changes to learning like AI, what is the best curriculum for students?
See, no curriculum is best curriculum. AI at an academic level of learning AI, all the curriculums are just devising their own syllabus for it. So all are at just starting phase.
Okay, and given tools like AI Tutor, which you're also kind of strongly pursuing, do students still need to go to school? Do they still need human teaching?
Absolutely. School and teacher are going to remain in the equation, no matter what the technology can do. Academic learning is only a small part of the overall learning, overall education. So hence, school and teacher shall be there.
Great, great. And this is very interesting. This is something we got from both the school leader and and uh, teacher as well. What if my teacher disagrees with something that AI tutor taught me?
See, disagreement is the basis to learn more deeper. If a tutor and teacher agree on the same issue, the learning will be only to a limit.
One dimension, yeah.
So if there is a disagreement,
Yeah.
then it gives opportunity to debate
Discuss.
and make one's own conclusions.
Absolutely. So that's a wonderful answer. Now, there is a couple of questions which the school leaders are thinking about, and a lot of these questions come in while we are interacting with schools as well. One is, how can student and school privacy be maintained through use of these AI tools? Like, is there any guardrailing we have to do in that case?
Yeah, when children data is involved, all the agencies, be it school, be it the service provider, need to be so mindful. And protection of data is absolute requirement. No compromises shall be entertained or be okay with. However, there are two dimensions to it. When the same data is being used to personalize for that individual student,
Yeah.
without having that data, personalization cannot happen.
Yes.
As long as the data is being used only for student well-being, student better learning,
Yeah.
that is a requirement. So we have to differentiate where this data is being captured and what purposes this data is being used. That need to be understood and accordingly be planned.
Great. Great. Yeah. And then the one more question, which I would say more from a parent than from a school, is, will AI tools give rise to more concerns about screen time? And also, we've been hearing about hallucination effects of AI and all that. So, how does it have psychological implications due to its overuse?
See, screen time is a long debated subject. How much screen time is okay? But now that subject is shifted. How much of that screen time is being used for what purposes?
Yes.
If you are a computer science, a computer professional, a software engineer, you may be looking at your own work computer for 12 hours. And then your TV and all other, your phone and maybe 15, 16 hours.
Absolutely.
A recent data published in the US, the average screen time is about 17 hours. So, how much screen time is okay is no more a discussion. Having said that, when kids they are in primary years, we need to be quite mindful how much of physical and how much of screen we are providing. There has to be fine balance.
Yeah. Great. I mean, I am done with all my questions, and thank you for patiently answering all those questions. And it's been a great way to end this season. We kind of summarized a lot of thoughts, also looked at what is going to come for the future. So thank you so much, NP, for joining us then.
Thank you, Nishanth.
Great call.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you to all of you who are joining us today.